Hello.
Well, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. How's
it again. How we all doing?
Are we good? Are we good? Good. Awesome. Let's get crack-a-lacking then.
Yes. Let's get cracking. So before we even go there, let's just
Lady T, your mic. It's a crack-a-lacking.
Oh, is it still crack-a-lacking?
It's crack-a-lacking, y'all.
Perks of iPhone, eh? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Let's continue and let's see if it improves.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Right. So welcome again to another one of our hot topic shows, guys. Wherever you're tuning in from, we ask that you please share this live.
Please share.
Is my sound okay?
As usual.
Yeah, good.
It's okay.
Still okay? Still okay, sound?
Bear with. Do you not have, is it possible to grab some headphones or you think?
Right now, I might mess it up completely.
You might have to come off and come back in. You might have to do that. Just see. And we'll
yeah.
go on.
If it's that bad, I will. If it's that bad, you continue and I'll come back back in. But let's let me know if it's that bad.
Yeah. Or change your device. Yeah. If you got another device, look what we're doing this now. Yeah.
Sound checking at the wrong time. All right, you introduce everyone. Tell everyone to share the live. Tell everyone about the new time that we're starting, and I will come back and join you in a bit.
Yes, sir. Right? Lady T will be back shortly. Guys, thank you for joining us today. Please do share this video. We are talking today about being married and who sacrifices more, basically. Miss Rolo.
Right. We'll talk about this because there is this misconception or conception, maybe, that when you're married, that, you live happily ever after, growing up as a young girl. Most of the Disney classics that you've watched,
exactly.
Beauty, Snow White, the lady tends to find her Prince Charming, and then at the end, what's that phrase that comes up at the end? And then
happy after. I know, right?
And there was butterflies and rainbows and stars in the sky. But is that reality? Now we're gonna discuss.
Is it now? You guys are gonna let us know because I ain't married, so you guys are gonna give us the 411 about that, and anyone else in the experience as well. If you're married or go on with this kind of situation, because honestly, I'm still a learning. We got in the comments, we got Tolu Shay Ade. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
We got Letitia. We got Evelyn, my lovely Evelyn. It's good to see you, and many others joining us. Guys, do not forget to share the video. We look forward to
like, subscribe
with us today. Thank you so much for sharing. We can see you shared. It is going to be a really, really, really good show today. We got Lady T coming back. She had a little bit of technical issues with her mic, so there will be 3 of us on the call today. And yeah, as we said, we're going to be talking about marriage, the responsibilities of marriage, the ideas of success. Like before you're married, you have ideas of success, what you want to do, you have dreams. How far do you get before you get married? And then how far can you continue with those dreams when you're married?
That's the thing. We need to compare. We need to compare and see, you know, is this marriage thing, you know, a good deal? You know, should you be signing that contract without really thinking about it in depthly? What are the pros? What are the cons of being married in comparison to being single? You know, real life stuff, real life issues and questions we're going to go in depth into today.
Exactly. So, and like to kind of kick the ball off a little bit early, it's like thinking about the roles that women play and the roles that men play. I don't know if it's a complete misconception. I don't know if it's only subject to certain couples, but it does seem like women make the most sacrifice. It does seem like women make the most sacrifices during marriage, you know? And it's like, we spend a lot of time preparing for marriage as well. And I don't know if men do the same thing. Do men prepare for marriage? Do men think about, okay, when I'm married, I'm going to make sure that I provide, because that's the side that they like to fit into or like to identify with. I'm going to make sure I have a good job. I'm going to make sure that I teach my son all these manly duties. I'm going to support my wife. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, like, do men go through that? I wonder, because women definitely do. I'd say maybe 90% of women, or 99% even of women prepare for marriage, even as early as childhood, right?
Absolutely. As you said, you know, I remember growing up, just speaking from personal experience, and always being told, oh, you need to be in the kitchen, you need to learn how to cook. It's always the girls in the kitchen washing plates and preparing the meals, while the guys are God knows where, maybe playing football, watching TV. You know? Like, it's hardly any time that you see, you know, men in the kitchen at a young age learning how to cook, learning how to just be domesticated. And so from that very young age, women are, you know, trained almost to assume that role, you know, in preparation for marriage. And there is kind of some sort of like discrepancy with, you know, okay, what is a woman's role, and is it supposed to be a woman's role? You know, are these roles, like gender roles, are they, you know, in terms of domesticated, are they supposed to be only for women, or are men supposed to be also domesticated?
This is it.
And so these questions are important when it comes to marriage, because, you know, you could spend so much time trying to look after your home and look after the kids and the husband and make sure everything is okay, but how much time do you have for yourself? And that's what I think is important to delve into today, to see what are the realities with actually having time for yourself, having time for your career and your aspirations, as well as having time for your family and keeping that balance.
Exactly. And, you know, this is the real thing that we do have to ask ourselves before. I mean, if you're like me and you're not married yet, you do have to ask yourself before you get married. And then even after marriage, I would assume that, you know, now that you're there, you don't just give up on yourself. You don't just decide that, okay, this is how I have to be. I hope that people are still finding themselves, even in marriage. You know, because it's like what you see on TV and what you hear from another person's experiences, that may not be your marriage. So fair enough, there may be some lady or a man out there that has had to, you know, hold back on himself because of his marriage or because of his family responsibilities or roles, but that shouldn't necessarily be the same for anyone else.
Exactly, I agree. And just another thing, we're just going to put a disclaimer here as well. So we may be making some references to some studies and maybe putting in some experiences from ourselves or other people that we know of, without mentioning names. Now, this is just a general chit chat. It's not factual to the 10th power. So we understand that every marriage is different. and every marriage has its individual workarounds and etc. So we're not saying, don't take our word verbatim. You know, just have your own opinion and your own analysis on what we're saying, and then, you know, find whatever gems you can and apply it to your own life.
Yes.
Because we can all learn from each other. No one has the golden, no one has a perfect life or a perfect marriage. This is just so that we can learn from each other and improve.
Exactly. We're not going out there to tell your husband to now do this or tell your wife to now go and do that. We're not doing that,
We're not
guys.
saying how to live your life. No. We're just keeping it real in the conversation.
Having a friendly and entertaining discussion. We got Lady T back.
How we doing, Lady T? How we sounding?
Oh. No, why? What's going on with your side, girl? What's going on where you are?
I rebuke the devil. Satan is a liar. He's a liar. Satan is a liar.
Oh my gosh. We want to conk the devil's head.
You might have to do without the earphones. I reckon we might have to
try without your headphones?
Yeah, let's try without. Just
so we can just get started.
Oh, are you on mute? You might be on mute. Unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, ladies and gents. We are still having technical difficulties with Lady T's mic. We are still going to progress, though. We're still going to keep this going. Let's get into these comments then, because I can see it's all popping up. You guys are leaving us out because we're still in our technical issues.
Yeah, come on,
Okay. Let's do this. So, okay. So Evelyn has said, some men want you to leave everything when you get married to them. Yeah, that's true. Definitely. Hi, Carl. Good to have you here. Carla said, isn't what you call preparing for marriage the romantic, hopeful notions that women have about marriage? That's a very good point, you know, but I don't know. I kind of feel like now that I'm older, I do kind of feel like we've been conditioned.
Yeah, I feel like a wall is put over our eyes. You know, yeah, I feel the same, to be honest. I feel the same. I think a lot of what we've been taught growing up has not really been in detail about what marriage is and the constraints and challenges we can go through it, because it is and can be a roller coaster from time to time. I feel like a wall has been put over our eyes, and we've been more looking at just get married, just cross that bridge, and when you get there, figure things out for yourself. Whereas I think it needs to be more in depth, especially mothers to daughters and fathers to sons, you know, and vice versa. So it can cross over as well. But I feel like that conversation isn't really had at an early age, towards both sexes. I think it's light-hearted conversations that's had about marriage, more towards daughters and not really in depth. And I don't know if that conversation at all is happening with boys. I don't know. You know, I don't know if that conversation is happening. So it'd be nice to get a male's perspective. What has been your experience as a young man growing up? Please let us know. You know, maybe we're none the wiser. You know, have you had that conversation about, you know, marriage and preparing to be a husband or a father? What has been your experience with that? That would be interesting to get the perspective in this.
And of course, what age does it start? Like, what age did you start to experience this? Because with females, in most households, I would say it does happen quite early in our lives. So we are kind of conditioned to think, okay, right, marriage, children. And then all of a sudden we get slapped with career, education. And sometimes it's a little bit of, it kind of makes your head less focused, or makes you yourself less focused, because you're juggling all these things. And then before you know it, it's like, get married now, you're 30 or you're 20 something. So let's go back to the comments. We got, so Evelyn has come. Oh, Evelyn is popular today. Some men say, I need a wife because I need someone to cook and clean. Is that the reason they need a wife? They need a wife.
We're going to get there.
About what she's saying as well, because you hear a lot of men, I'll say young men nowadays, who start to shame women who are finding themselves and trying to become career focused and trying to get that summer body ready. And they're coming out and they're saying things like, yeah, but can you cook? Yeah, but can you cook? Yeah, but can you clean? And it's like, well, is that my responsibility?
Yeah.
Because you want in the same breath, you will ask me, what am I bringing to the table? So would it be acceptable if when you ask me what I'm bringing to the table, I say to you, I'm cooking and I'm cleaning? If that's not going to be acceptable, then you shouldn't be getting so irate and so uncomfortable at the fact at me finding myself and trying to be a better person. Because the way the world is going, almost everyone, particularly the young generation, they are becoming paper chasers. They are all about their business. They are all about making money. They're all about this and all about that. But again, in the same breath, it's like, well, can you take care of the home for a woman? And I don't know. I don't know if it should be like that.
I don't think it's fair, Andersley. I feel like, you know, the world around us has changed. And so to keep up with the times at hand. I mean, yes, before, traditionally, you know, women were the ones supposedly in the kitchen, looking after the children, just being more in the domestic side of things. And the men were the ones working, bringing in the income, you know, to provide for their family. But now, you know, there's been such a mesh of roles and responsibilities. I think it's very unfair for the expectation, which still exists, as you said, that women should be, you know, required to be able to cook and clean. You know, that doesn't seem fair in today's society. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem fair. And so we need to talk about a balance here, because if women are working as well as looking after the home, and men are just working, then I'm sure the woman can't be too happy with that, or any woman wouldn't be too happy.
Yeah.
Because that puts more pressure on the man. Because there's more.
I'm going to try one more time, if you can hear me. If not,
we can hear you well. I think the problem is solved. Somebody was We got you.
I said one more time. I think I just needed to change location, so I know exactly what the problem was. I think it's because of where I was. But hey, ladies, hi guys. Sorry about all that glitch.
Sound better.
It's still a bit crackly, but you do sound better. So I think we will continue. What do you guys think? Yeah, should we continue? Yeah, let's do it. I love your background, by the way, Lady T.
Oh.
Well, thank you. Thank you. If I crack a lack, then I will, you know, leave you guys to it. But yes, if you can hear me, perfect, because I got to flow with this topic. I've got many insightful questions, and hopefully we can dig and dive in this topic proper.
Yes.
So yes, I'll continue.
Yes, Carlton, we need to continue. We're continuing. Don't worry. You guys will just adjust your ears, yeah?
Yes. Get ready.
If need be. Okay. Rightio. So how are y'all doing?
Good.
I've been listening to some pointers, and I've been seeing that you've been, I'm reading from the comments, engaging the audience that way, which is awesome. Now let's go. I mean, I had some interesting things that I put down as well in relation to this topic when I was trying to really dig at it in terms of what we can bring out of this. And I have to say, there's certainly some things that we need to discuss. So, you know, I don't want to take us backwards, but you guys tell me, have you discussed about actual dreams and whether or not marriage pushes you into those dreams or pushes you out? Have we gone there?
We haven't touched that yet.
We came in.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right on time.
That's good. So let's go there. Let's take it from the top. So obviously, what we said about today's topic is that we were. What we said about today's topic is that we were simply going to look at whether or not love. You could be in a relationship, which is boyfriend and girlfriend. You could be engaged, and at most of the top of the end is married. And when you're married in particular, even though we'll look at other stems of the relationship guide, because we know that anybody can be at any stage. And sometimes people don't even get married, so to speak. You know, who are we to judge on that? But some people just choose to be life partners. Either situation that you find yourself in, what we want to know is that when that special spouse comes into your life, do you find that the dreams and the goals you had when you were single, do they drop literally? Do they get limited because of the sacrifices you now have to make because of somebody else who's now come with their own goals and ambitions? It could be the husband, it could be the wife. Most times we like to go on the husband perspective because that is how it seems to be like. when you find your husband. But then, of course, we know that there are some wives that stand their ground, are like head in the house, and the guy is actually the housewife, so to speak. So we'll speak on that. We'll try to understand on both perspectives. Sorry, but on the emphasis more to the husband. Do you find, especially as women, that when you get into those serious relationships, when you get with those serious partners or into marriages like that, your dreams, those goals, when you were single before, you can travel up and down, and you were trying to earn, trying to make your business come and then build your brand up off the ground, and you were thriving, you were making that dough, like I see some women doing, independent women going up and down, doing big things, flying on private jets, buying all the latest bags, all your Hermes, all your Gucci, all the good things, but then all of a sudden they get married, and then, all that flying up and down that they used to do to obviously maybe grow their business or develop themselves. It could even be as simple as professional development that you were already studying, side courses. All of a sudden you get married or something like that. It seems like you can't do that anymore. You can't cope with it because the demands on you from maybe your spouse, because of what he needs, and you being the helpmeet as you're supposed to be, you now start to slow down on your dreams. Or there might be places that he doesn't like you to go to anymore, even if it requires business and meeting with your clients. How do you know? How we analyze that? Would we now say that when you get into serious relationships, ladies, when you do get into those marriages, I will start with that. Would you say, before we go into the sacrifices and who sacrifices more, would you say when you are actually married or engaged, maybe something more serious, any of those things, does it slow down your dreams? Does it cut your dreams?
Well, okay, let me pick up. I'm not married. However, I'm a bit, I'll be real with you guys, because I like to keep it real. I'm a little bit scared, if I'm to be honest with you, of marriage. You guys will do well to comfort me. But yeah, I find it a little bit scary, because I feel like, especially at my age now, there are certain things that I have in order. There's a certain way I've organized myself. There are certain things I like to do when I come home. There's a certain time I like to cook, I have my traits. I have my habits now, and I'm definitely a little bit worried that, I might have someone who comes into my life and they're maybe, I don't know, super organized, or they want to be super organized. And that treads on me being myself. It treads on any plans that I had before this person came into my life. For example, if I want to do, if I decide that I want to go and do, I want to go to uni, I want to do some studies, some, get some extra qualifications or whatever. If I decide to do that, and then he feels that because I'm caught up with my studying, I'm neglecting the housework, I would feel like, it's really, we can both do it. But then of course it's like, if he's also busy, I would also feel like it is my responsibility to take the back seat, which I don't agree with, but I would feel like it is my responsibility. And just like myself and Miss Rhoda were talking about before you came on, we feel that a lot of the time women have been conditioned to feel like they have to be the domestic ones. So hence I probably do have this feeling like if anything happened, I would have to be the one to make the sacrifice. Not that the man can't make the sacrifice or shouldn't. I feel automatically like I'm the one who has to do it. And though I disagree with it, though I don't think it's fair, I would still feel that way. I would still feel guilty. I would still feel like I have to ask this guy, and I would have to ask him in a particular way, to make allowance for that, or to understand. Or I wouldn't want to have to stand my ground, I wouldn't want to have to make it a fight about it, I wouldn't want to have to fight about it for something that should be okay in my mind, but I would feel like I either have to fight about it, or I have to approach it like I'm walking on eggshells. And it's not fair, but sadly for myself, I'd say that that's how I think I've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Rolo.
Just remind me of the question again. I want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly.
So in the most simplest form, when you're married or let's say engaged or any form of serious relationship, would you say that it actually slows down those dreams and those goals that you were striving for at the beginning? Because obviously everyone has goals. They've got something that they planned for maybe the next 10 years, 5 years. All of a sudden they meet someone, they get settled, they get married. All that traveling up and down they used to do, all that trying to get promoted and be a CEO or director of one company, and they know all the studies that are involved in that, and all the places and the type of clients and atmospheres that they have to go to, because sometimes you have to go to some places to get things done, you know, to get that promotion or get that deal or get that contract. But all of a sudden you now get married to someone who may not necessarily be on the same page as you. You know, they're pursuing something of their own, and you've now come in as the help me. Would you definitely say or not say, does marriage slow that down? Basically the woman's dreams or even the man's dreams, does it slow it down? Does it totally remove it, to be honest? Because obviously we know that women make sacrifices in particular, more so yeah, does it actually push,
I think it depends on
squash your dreams?
I think it depends on the marriage. So I think there are some people, when you get married to them, they are very supportive, they're understanding, and they're like your biggest cheerleader. So it really depends on the person you marry, which is why people always advise that take your time in heading to marriage, because you could marry someone who's your worst nightmare, who maybe is intimidated by you trying to be successful, and maybe is a jealous partner, someone that doesn't want to see you grow beyond them. So yeah, I think it depends on the person that you're married to. So it has a potential of being, you know, being a good thing where you're not delayed in terms of your dreams. In fact, some people are really good at just, you know, being in your corner, motivating you. Some husbands and wives or, you know, spouses are really supportive, and they're like I said, the biggest cheerleaders. So yeah, it depends. But what I will say is that I think once children start coming into the mix,
forget it.
oh God,
That's what my face is saying.
oh, if I could get a handkerchief,
forget it. So then you do forget your dreams at some point. Oh dear.
Yeah, I think it's when children come into the mix that really, whether you have a supportive partner or not, that's when you start to that's when you now start to have to rearrange your plan to see whether or not, you know, I can do this masters in 1 or 2 years, or whether I can go to Dubai with the girls and turn up. When children come into the mix, that's when things really start, you know, affect the relationship, because then how many men are going to be happy with their women, you know, say, you know, going to Dubai with the girls for a nice, you know, painting the town red while he stays at home with kids.
Yes.
But I feel like there's more of an expectation for a woman to be the one that to stay at home, and the guy is able to go out and do his thing, as well as go out and walk and come back and there's a hot meal ready. I don't know. I would love to get like a show of hands, you know, with a bunch of females to ask, you know, how many times have you come back home from work and there's a hot meal waiting for you? Have you called your spouse and said, babe,
this is it.
Kids will know a hot meal waiting for you. That means that something's about to go down in the next 2 or 3 hours for our adult audience. If your dude has prepared time for you, then maybe there's a romantic evening.
That's it. Like, why not normalize men get preparing a hot meal for the wife when they come home? But there's that expectation that it's the woman that prepares the hot meal and the guy comes home and chop and clean his mouth. Whereas they're both going to work. Maybe even the wife works more hours, because let's be real. She goes and leaves work, then she comes back, then the kids, she has to deal with the kids. That's additional work. So she's not, her work actually stops at 5 o'clock. If she started work at 9, it does not stop at 5 o'clock. She comes home and still works. On top of that, she's looking after the kids and the man, and there's an expectation that, you know, once she's taking care of the kids, giving them food, giving the man kids, then at bedtime, the man was chopped to death in bed, if you know what I mean. So like, what energy does a woman have to really fulfill all those roles, as well as, you know, give that same focus and energy towards achieving her own aspirations and dreams? I think it's a very difficult balance to have when children come into the mix, because I think men's patience I would say, I'm just generalizing here, guys, so don't hang me. But I would say most men's patience when it comes to children is not as much as women's are. So women tend to have more patience with kids, tend to be more patient with kids, I beg your pardon. And so I don't know if a man that is not a father yet, when he's married, he may have a lot more patience. But when children come into the mix, I don't know if that patience can be, that patience is tested. That patience is really tested. And so, yeah, I think it's a difficult one when children come into the mix, being able to pursue your aspirations, because will your partner be able to adopt that fatherhood role as well as be a husband and be supportive and be understanding, all encompassing? It's questionable.
Now, before that, let me just say one more thing before we continue off this. I was going to say it like it is. Like, men, if you're out there, tag the men, because we want to hear what they have to say. And as I said, share with the men, share with the guys, because they need to hold their corner. I just want to say something that might throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. Are men like this? Do men feel like this? Because as women, when we're dating and when we're getting to know these guys, we are setting these unrealistic expectations. We are doing it to ourselves. Are we approaching our relationships as money figures and house domesticated women that like to clean, women that like to cook? Is it our fault? Is this the reason? Before you start sharpening your pitchfork, ladies, before you start getting your stuff ready to crucify me, I'm just saying this because even I know as a woman, when I've dated before, I do want to make myself look like wifey material. And to me, what I think wifey material, or what I thought rather wifey material was someone who did know how to cook, someone who did know how to clean, like to the point where work and educate, like showing the guy my aspirations, who I wanted to be and who I was. It didn't matter so much to me back then. But all I was concerned with was how I looked, whether I was clean, whether or not I smelt good, whether or not I could cook well, whether or not my house was in order in terms of it being nicely arranged, but not so much about my life being in order.
Right.
That's an interesting question, or interesting point and question.
Yeah, I just want to mention very quickly, sorry to interrupt, that there was something that went viral not too long ago. I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but it was a famous drill artist. Those of you that don't know drill, it's a genre of music that comes from the UK, and it's kind of similar to rap, but it's not really rap. Anyway, that's not besides the point. Basically, this artist was in his car and he was filming. And he said, I see you girls out there getting ready for summer. You've got your nails in, your hair in, your body been pumping in the gym, and it's all looking nice and tight. But the question is, and he stopped what he said, played the track, I think, from a famous reggae artist, I think. Cool. And the song talking about Ghana and cook. You know the song I'm talking about. I think it's a very popular song. And basically, they're just saying, you work hard, you look good, you take care of yourself as a woman, but all of that is insignificant if you can't cook.
Can you imagine?
For further showing us,
this is the issue.
And some people can't even change a light bulb. Some men can't even change a light bulb. Some people can't even nail a nail into the wall.
This is the issue. This is exactly from the question that you just asked, and from the point that Miss Rhoda just said. If I'm going to flip to answer your question, this is the issue. And sometimes, or most times, is not the women. It is the pressure of the culture and the society. So it's two things. It's the culture of what generational women are planted in their daughters, which is that if you want to get a husband, you need to be domesticated. Right. You need to know how to cook, because apparently cooking or having a nice meal is the way to a man's heart. You need to know how to be clean and tidy. All those things have been drummed in girls' head from a young age, that they grow thinking that that's what is important. On top of that, men are also the cause, because men, just like that man that Miss Rhoda gave an example of, will be drumming it and making points across posts, across pages, to women directly, that look, girl, if you're not going to cook, if you can't cook, I'm sorry, you ain't wifey. Some guys will tell you that directly. Straight. Or they'll tell you in other ways which is that they might not tell you directly with explicitly with their mouth, but they will exit, and you'll be wondering what happened. Where did he go to? Because he's tasting your cooking, and bruv, it went hitting the spot.
So like mommy.
Rather than telling you directly that meal ain't quite cutting it because you ain't put no seasoning in your meal, or you ain't cooking your meat properly, I'm gonna find a woman that is, because at the end of the day they'll be eating at another woman's house. I don't know. There's this other thing that I hear as well, like if your man don't like your food, you'll find that he's going outside to get takeaway a lot. That's another sign, ladies, in case you're dating someone that prefers to eat takeaway over your food, or coming back telling you now, I'm not hungry. But there is this big emphasis on, like you feed your man, you make him feel good, you make him look good, then you're bringing something to the table. And then on top of that, which is another pressure now that's coming across in society, is that what are you bringing to the table financially? What are you bringing to the table knowledge-wise as well? But on top of that, even though you do all those great things, you still have to have the domesticated side. Exactly. Because depending on the part of the world that you live in, especially these developed countries, even though you're working, girl, you need to also be doing your domestics, because if you ain't doing your domestics, then I may just get a second woman who can do the domestics, and I will use you for your levels in terms of what you can cook and your knowledge, because there is that. I mean, in terms of what you can do, your knowledge and your finances, I will use that woman for that part, because let's face it, there's a number of users in the form of men out there. There are. They will use men to get use women, to get what they want, be it for the level that they want to attain in their career or in their business, or be it for the comfort where they can put their head on a nice pillow and have a nice hot meal and have a nice hanky panky in the bedroom, whoever can flip it. And sometimes if they can't get all that package in one, it may be separated into two. Hence why there's so much infidelity and so much cheating in the world. Let's face it, that's the truth. And they expect this pressure on women. And it's true. Someone said the narrative is changing. No, girl, the narrative needs to change.
Right.
The message is not enough. There's not enough emphasis on that message. And it's simply because women just want to be loved. We are women that are emotional. We want to be loved. So we will do everything we can to keep the peace in our home, to keep the love reigning, because we have the capacity to do it. That's the truth. We do have the capacity to do it. Women, that's why they call us super women. It's not superwoman for no reason. It's not Wonder Woman for no reason. We are Wonder Women. Yes, we have the capacity, fair enough. And I think men have the capacity too. Yes. But unfortunately, yes, again, we have kind of spoilt men, because we've shown them that, yes, we can do it. If you ain't going to do it for me, I'm going to do it for myself. And I'm going to do it for my children. And I'm going to do it for you just to keep my house, tidy, just for me to look good in front of other people, that when people come to my house, it don't look like my house is broken, just so I don't look weak on the outside when I'm told as a woman that I should be looking strong, I should be feeling strong, looking strong, that as soon as you're not doing these things, then that means you're weak as a woman. And it shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the case. We look at men.
I don't want to forget this question. Before, I know, Lady T, you have your structure. I'm going to be rude and just ask one more question. And I'm only asking you ladies this because, as I said, I'm not married. I can't speak for married couples. I can't even speak from my own experience, I can make suggestions or whatever. Anyway, let's get to the question. Because Evelyn has put in this comment here. And when I read it, it got me thinking. She said, most men who are married do appreciate their wives for being able to cook. Now, that's a question that I would like you guys to answer, because you guys are married and of course you cook. Do you find that? So it's a A and B question. It's in two parts. So do you find that when you cook, your men in your life, of course, I'm sure they're nice men, so I'm sure they appreciate the cook that you are, but do you really feel appreciated for cooking? Because that's another question there. It's one thing to say that a man appreciates your cooking, but it's another thing to feel that he appreciates it. You understand what I mean? Yes. So there's that. And then on the other side of the coin, you're married, of course, there are kids, and there are kids now, and there are kids coming, of course. So with that in mind, being a little bit rude as well. So most men, would not be comfortable with you having a nanny. Most men would not be comfortable with their wives or with their families to have a nanny to help.
As a Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So most of the responsibility would typically fall on the woman's head. Now, can we say that, okay, if men can have sort of handymen in the house. Like, you want to fix up the TV or you want to paint the walls, we get handymen in for that, and we happily pay them for that. We get handymen around to fix this and to fix that and to do all the things that were typically men's roles back then. We pay for that now. So is it so bad to pay for a nanny now? So I hope I'm not asking too many questions or confusing it too much. But the first part was, do you feel appreciated for cooking and cleaning and all that kind of stuff? And then on the second side, when it comes to, since we're paying for services that women should typically, or men should typically do, then vice versa, shouldn't it be the same?
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely clear. I mean, obviously, I'll probably start anyway. As a married woman, I'm privileged and happy to be married to a good man. This is the thing, to be honest. In everything that we say today, it's all about marrying the right person. In all fairness,
right.
The person that understands you, the person that can meet you kind of halfway. Obviously, not everybody's in this position, and I think the opportunity that I have, is the man understanding that we both work, we're both trying to make an income here. Okay, maybe your strength might not be so much in the cooking the gourmet meals, and I might like cooking a gourmet meal every now and then, by the way, not all the time. Or I might like cooking and putting it in the freezer. And then I'll have the man that loves to clean, because I may not be the most tidiest person. I love to clutter. Women, we like a lot of things, a lot of shoes, bags, chucking things here and there. Like I like to do every now and then. So he will be the one that will master that area, but then he will also be the one that cooks. There's just one that does one better than the other. So one will clean better than the other, one will cook better than the other. So then we find our mutual balance, and then we make it work. I don't think if I was the OCD type that liked everything sparkling clean, and the one that liked my meal presented in a nice fashion manner, that I'll probably break myself. And then having to work full time and trying to do other things around that, I just don't have that kind of capacity. So yeah, I mean, for me as a married woman, we make it work. Another thing that me and my spouse have in common is that, bruv, we are both getting someone to fix things, because I ain't doing it, and sometimes he might not want to do it. But the beauty of it is that at least he tries to do it, and he does most of these things, fixing things, putting the furnishings together, changing the lights. I ain't touching lights, I ain't putting furnishings together. I just don't have the patience to read instructions and do DIY. I'm just not wired like that personally. I'd rather pay someone to fix it, or in hope that my husband would do it, which is what we do find in our household. So we definitely have that thing in common. It's getting complicated. We're going to pay someone, even to hang a frigging frame. We'll pay someone to do that. You know what I'm saying? This is real. This is how practically it works in this house. Sense. Me and my husband, we certainly don't mind giving someone a little change to come and hang a frame, do whatever we need to do, buy a takeaway if we're both tired, so to speak. And ain't nobody complaining. We eat, we're satisfied, because we understand our busy schedules and how it needs to work. So for me, as a married woman, that's my own.
For myself,
2 cents.
For my spouse, I would say I do more for cooking. And at first, okay, when we were dating, it was like, I need to up my cooking skills, because to be honest, you guys know, man, I never used to cook. Like, I was so like selfish when it came to cooking. I hated cooking when I was younger. I hated it. And so we used to all hi viewers, hi audience. We used to all live in a house together, me, Lady T, and the slaves. And the person that was constantly in the kitchen and can cook up a storm if it tastes like foods. Oh God. God created her especially, for something amazing when it comes to food. A few games on point. But yeah, no.
Yes.
So, and the slave used to always be in the kitchen. I would say, all of us, she's the most domesticated.
I'll take that trophy, mate.
I
take the trophy.
I don't think I can still hold it though, because I've tasted you guys' cooking. But anyway,
she holds it down.
We had to learn. We had to learn the hard way. So Miss Rhoda would testify to that. You get married.
Honestly,
you're not gonna do what you have to do.
Myself and Lady T had to step up the game, knowing that we're gonna be heading into marriage. We had to step up the game, but we weren't actually, the ones going in the kitchen. It was more and the slaves doing that. So I would say in the next one, Lady T's cooking is all right. you know.
Thank you. We got there in the end.
I got there in the end as well, you know, but it took me some time and adjusting. So at the beginning stage, you know, trying to, because, you know, men and women woo each other. The men do what they need to do. We do what we need to do to woo. And part of that is cooking and showing that you can take care of your man and the household. So I remember when I was first like getting domesticated back again after some time of just doing me, myself and I and being single. So when me and my husband started getting serious, I started to find myself more in the kitchen, trying to learn how to cook, etc. And there's one time I made a meal for him. And to this day, what he said cut me deep. Well, I wouldn't see.
I want to hear it.
I'm going to share one personal experience.
Come on, a real life example.
Somebody, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're minister to your spirit. Who knows? Anyway, yeah. So I made a meal for him, and I thought the meal was all right. I'll tell you what I made. I made I made pasta, and there was like a bolognese, a nice spicy tomato bolognese sauce. So it was in the kitchen. I mean, in the lounge. He came round to visit us, and this is when we were all living together. By the way, that was Central House. Wow. Central House. So anyway, we sat down in the living room, and I brought his meal, and he looked at it, and he said, "Oh, thank you," but I could tell something was all right. So anyway, he eating and stuff. Then he was like, "Yeah, the meal was nice." Just like, you know, I think, imagine this, girls, yeah. I need to prepare myself. Wait. Because on this little comment here, I should have literally just cut him off. But I turned it around for positivity. Let me say that. Anyway, he goes, yeah.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, exactly. Constructive. Anyway, so yeah, he's like, yeah, the meal was nice and everything, tasted nice, but I think your presentation could have been better. Presentation. What do you think? Restaurant.
Africans, do we even care about presentation? You just slap on the plate.
This guy thinks he's going to a 5-star restaurant, and I'm some sort of Gordon Ramsay or something. Like, or what's the other name? The chef, Angela, whatever her name is. I was cut.
Chef Miss Rolo.
My heart really hurt, you know. But I was like, you know what? Actually, you know, because I like this dude, I'm gonna cut him some slack. Because on a normal day, you're getting cut.
She would take it there. She would. I'm a living witness. She would have taken it there.
I would have. But I was like, you know what? This guy is actually a good dude, and he does, you know, he does things to woo me. He goes the extra mile. He goes above and beyond. So I'm gonna cut him some slack, and I'm gonna be like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna get this presentation skills on point, and I'm gonna do whatever's necessary to get there. But anyway, the reason why I bring up that story is because now, many years later, you know, I cooking is nothing to me. Like it's second nature now, so I don't see it as so much of a big deal. I actually enjoy it now. I find it therapeutic. And I would say nowadays when I do cook, I feel like I would prefer me cooking in comparison to him cooking, only because he can cook. He's really good at cooking. He likes to cook, but I don't like him cooking because he messes up the kitchen. And I'm into cleanliness and things in order.
Gotta be the cleaner afterwards. Oh yeah.
But he's not on the same level as me. I like things to be in order. I like things to be neat. And so when he cooks, it's like World War III happened in that kitchen. So
that's like me
on the floor, and it's just it stresses me out. So that's the reason why I tend to cook more. It's because of that. And also because of our work schedules as well. Like most of the time I get home before him, so obviously if I'm home before him, then I'm not going to be sitting around twiddling my thumbs. My belly's rumbling and I'm waiting for him to come home. It doesn't make sense. So obviously I'm going to cook. But what I do find is that he's very, like, my husband loves food, man. He loves food, though. So I had to set my game up. And me too, I'm a food as well. I love food. But with him, like, okay, so when you cook up a good meal for him, most of the times I do, he's very appreciative. And you can see, and I was like, if I want to get money from my husband, I don't have to cook food. Give me
get some salad.
So the way to the man's heart.
Give me your PIN number, and you know.
So those that were taking notes, I hope you're listening.
So women, I would say, okay, let me stick to the question. I don't want to digress too much. So yes, he's very appreciative. He's very, very appreciative when I cook food, you know, and he enjoys it and stuff. I can't deny he's very appreciative, very positive. And yeah, I like that. I like him being appreciative because it's not the hardest thing to do, but it's time taken away from you doing your own thing. And so for that in itself, I think we do have to be appreciative of our spouses when they do when they do that. So yeah, he's appreciative. Second part of your question was to do with what was it again?
Nannies and handyman.
Talk about the nannies. The nannies.
Sorry, yeah. So you know what? In our household, I would say we're very happy to have a nanny. There's no issues from his side. He doesn't see it as maybe you're trying to give somebody else a job, and I don't see it as maybe I should feel guilty because it's a woman that's expected to raise children and look after. Not at all. When you're working, there's no time to really take care of your children, especially when they're young and you have to go out and work. Proud nanny all the way, all the frigging way.
Yes. I just have to say, it's so good to hear that because, like I said, I mean, I don't want to blow my own trumpet too much, but like I said, in the little position that I am, these are some of the fears that some ladies have about marriage and about having kids. Some women are scared of having kids because they feel like they're going to have to stop their careers and the husband won't be understanding, particularly for like ethnic minorities, so like Black, Asian, us lot, you know, we're very traditional and we're very sort of back in we're coming out of it a little bit, but we're still very much back in the day in terms of these gender roles and responsibilities. So it's good to hear that the couples of you guys are in the century that we're in now, that your husbands don't actually mind.
Yeah,
they don't actually mind having nannies, and it seems like the lens of letting out a bit more.
Yeah, but I'm just like, you know, funny that you say that because I could, you know, I'm looking at the comments as you was talking, especially what Carl has just put out, and of course, you know, we're on social media and we will express our realities to some extent, but ain't no one gonna slate their man like that. But I can understand the question that he just put at the end, which is, you know, Lady T is married to a great guy, and we'll always speak of the greatness of our guys, and so is Sheena. Of course, Miss Rhoda, we'll speak of the greatness of our guys because we're on media. We have to do that. We're not going to focus too much on negatives. Of course, there are negatives, there are positives, that's for sure. But you ain't going to hear too much of the flaws. But thank God, Miss Rhoda gave you a nice, real example. But on what you just said, you said within your circumstances, do you think there are more women with these negative experiences with their man? So if you want us to remove the experiences that we put as an example and then put the general consensus of what we think and what we see on a general perspective, in this matter, yes, to be honest, yes, for most women, I do feel that there is those struggles when it comes to that, the examples that we just gave, like Andersley just asked about, who, you know, the DIY work and getting someone outside to pay for it. I feel that there'll be households who would not want to pay people. They would rather do it within their own do it within themselves. The man or the woman, you know, wouldn't have to do it. I've seen women going on YouTube trying to learn how to fix things because maybe they can't wait on their partner to do it. I see single mothers, independent women that are single, having to learn how to do DIY work, do it yourself work based on, thank God for YouTube that teaches people how to do certain things. And, you know, you just have to get on with it because maybe you don't have the money to pay people. Maybe you would rather not pay them and keep that money for something else, because let's face it, the world is getting more expensive. You can use that money to buy things that are essentials for yourself or your children. On the aspect of nannies, yes, there are definitely homes that would like to accommodate nannies, especially like in cultures of our own back home in Nigeria, where it's probably a normal thing, almost so to speak, for people that have a bit of money. Let's say, I wouldn't say normal thing because not for people that don't have money, but a normal thing for people that do have money to get a nanny and to help with some of these works. You know, be it cleaning, to help wash the clothes for their children, ironing, etc. But I know there are also people that are very protective when it comes to their kids. They would rather be the ones that do it for them, because obviously we don't know the demonic forces that are in the house that might present in the form of a nanny. So people are like, I'm going to clean and cook for my own husband because I don't know what portion they will now go and put in my husband's food before he starts saying that he don't love me the way he used to love me again. Or he's coming back home later at night So there are some, yes, dynamics of homes where wives are like, I will cook and clean for my husband, I will cook for my kids, but then you can also help with maybe just things that don't matter, like just the cleaning and spackling. But when it comes to touching clothes, touching underwear, you're not going to put jazz in my underwear or my husband's underwear. Or cook a goosey soup for my husband, though. Oh, we don't want any problem. So yes, of course, the general thing is that we know there are people that have arranged their homes to be these certain ways for these kind of examples that I've just laid and said. But ladies, because of the purpose and sake of time, yes, I've got two more things I want us to tackle. So I'm going to move us along swiftly. I hope that has helped for Carl and other people that were wondering. In the aspect of what we're actually talking about today, can love limit success? I want to flip it on the other side and talk about, people say marriage is goals. With marriage, you win, you're going for it kind of thing. Would you say that when you're married, on the other side, let's look at the good side possibly, and even if it's negative, we'll talk about it as it is. Would you say that sometimes when you are married, it actually pushes you to success rather than limits you? There are some roles out there where you need to be married to thrive in. For example, I know for like when it comes to ministry, they say preferably you need to be married than not married. I know for like presidents and MP roles, sometimes they respect you more when you are actually married and you've got a family unit rather than when it's a single man doing it. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't think you'll find any president really that's single. Most times they got to have a woman on their side. So does it take marriage to attain a certain level of success or to push higher in those goals or aspirations that you've wanted? On the other flip side, thinking of those strategic positions that being married seems to be part of, for example, like I said, world leaders, presidents. What do you think, guys? Do you think marriage enhances your success goals or not?
I think, I think from what you just said and described, these leadership positions that you're talking about, there seems to be a trend here, and it is true that most of them seem to be married. And I'm not sure the reason why that is, but I'm assuming that it's because, they say that, how you manage your home is how you manage like a company or how you manage like people and stuff. So I guess you being married shows them that you're able to, I don't know, be like you're able to take a leadership position and to manage people. I think that's what the expectation is with that, which is why most of these leaders are married, is that, as you treat your home is how you treat your business or you treat your employees, etc. So I think there's some correlation there between a man or woman being married and the level that they're able to get to in their career. I think there is definitely a correlation, but I couldn't say like for certain why that is. I couldn't say that. I can only assume that. I think people think that if you're married, you're more responsible, you're more disciplined, and you're more focused. I think that's what the general. I think that's my general understanding of why that could be.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead now. Honestly, quite simply, maybe it's just my naivety, but I think it might just be a little bit to do with they're more advanced in years. I think to get to a position where you can be a president or a CEO or something, you're more likely to be an older person. So of course, during that journey, you're likely to get into a serious relationship or be married. But however, having said that, I do agree with what Miss Rolo is saying, and that is, but more on the side of this, that there is something that is considered respectable about being married. It's like you've attained this high level of life, just because you're married. And I think part of the reasons as well on the wayside why married individuals are preferred to be in high positions is just because they're trying to avoid as little drama as possible, because they want to tell themselves, okay, this person is highly unlikely to be a womanizer. I mean, even though we do know Uncle President Clinton and a couple of others, which I don't mean to shame them, that's not the idea, but there are men out there and women out there that have been in very key positions, have been married, and they've still had a little side piece, on the side for whatever reason. We don't know why. But we know that being married isn't a good enough barrier to stop someone from, having sexual relations with another individual. We know that being married doesn't mean you're more responsible than someone that isn't married. And we know that just because you're more advanced in years and you happen to be married doesn't mean that a younger person who is married or whatever, you know, can't also carry that mantle, if you like, as well, or carry that position as well. So I think that, I mean, the world is changing, like we've said. The world is changing. The perception is moving. You know, people are not so concerned about whether or not you're married, whether or not you're a single mother or a single father. They just want to know that you can do the job. They're more concerned nowadays with your experience as someone who's been able to manage stuff and manage people. How can you prove that you are going to be effective in this position? I mean, being married is kind of just useful for dinner parties and, you know, events, like, so you can say, oh, by the way, here's my wife, or by the way, here's my husband, but after that, what's next? So I think that we have gradually moved out of there and we've understood that it's not that important. However, I do again agree with Lady T a little bit with your question when you talked about the gospel industry, so ministers, musicians, that kind of thing. I think that I've noticed that there seems to be a preference, even now, of individuals that are married when you're in the gospel scene. So people would rather have pastors or promote pastors that are married now, and again, gospel singers as well that are married. They're all flocking to marriage, you know. And the sad thing, and again, this is just my opinion, the sad thing is that if we continue like that, we are then grooming individuals who have a goal but are not ready for marriage to settle with wrong people and end up in very terrible relationships, which initially were trying to save the faith, end up breaking the faith, because people will then start using them as examples as to why, you know, you can't trust in men of God, or you can't believe what men of God are saying because this person's home is scattered, when really at the end of the day, that person wasn't ready for marriage, and they only got married because they were trying to fit in to this preferred, you know, this preferred look. So that's my understanding on it. On the gospel music and gospel and the some level of Christianity in terms of leadership, they do still preferred married individuals, but on the worldly side, when it comes to business and being in the office, I don't think it's such a big deal anymore.
Yeah. I think people liked your point there, and the slaves. Maybe you should be practicing on that point. They like that example illustration that you just gave, and yeah, to be honest, you're very right. They do prefer that. It could be because it shows a level of maturity, responsibility, and some of the points that you guys have said as well. That when you are, you know, having that perfect picture, so to speak, that kind of God has put together, and God always shares in these, you know, in his word, preferring that person that is married rather than that person that is single, who will be faced with so much temptation, so much slipping and sliding there, here and there. At least if you're married, it's seen to be consecrated. It's seen that you will be loyal to one another, committed to one another. It's not expected that when you're married you're going to commit adultery or anything like that, or you're going to try and tear down your home. If anything, you're going to try and build it and be an example onto others to aspire to, because at the end of the day, when you are in that leadership role, you need to be examples to others for them to aspire to that. But you are right on the other side, which is very true. Some people are seeing that and they're trying to rush into that because they want to attain that so quickly. And even when it comes to kingdom marriages or gospel scene marriages that you've given an example of, they tend to scatter quite quickly because some people are just simply not ready for that assignment. Marriage is not rice and beans, yo. It ain't rice and peas. It's work, and it takes a lot of work sometimes. And that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today. So, ladies, I have another interesting one, because just to allow us to move on a bit swiftly, and I'm going to bring two bonus things out. Now, I was watching something recently, you know, when I looked at somebody's story, and you find a lot of women, especially single women, are trying to thrive, to do the best that they can before they get married, because they want to be a woman of value. They don't want to depend on their man. They want to show them what they're bringing to the table, because that's always the famous question: what are you bringing to the table? So some women are aspiring for the most, really and truly. They're making a use of that opportunity now that they're not married, now that they don't have kids. There's nothing tying them down. And one of the things they have found, I mean, I don't know what advice you're going to give out with this one, because it's a bit of a complex one, and it ties in with my next question, is that they now find that they're getting with men who either are on the same kind of level or sometimes below what they have. And these men are coming to smooch, basically. They're coming to use them to attain a certain level for themselves, because they see this woman has money. this woman has a good success record. They can see what she's doing, and they want to see what can we tap out of this woman? What can we get? You know, what are you going to advise for women that are basically shooting quite fast in life, going really on the fast lane? Maybe they just got that divine favor, and then they're now trying to get a partner, but they're not finding that kind of partner who is on the same wavelength with them. Rather, they're finding that along the line, this man really just wanted to use them. You know, he weren't there because of love. He was there simply because of what they can get. And that's why sometimes, I don't know if you remember in our culture or back, you know, with these traditional ways, they say women shouldn't aspire for too much, because if you aspire for too much when you're single, the chances are you're going to be a threat to your man, or that man you're going to get with, because he feels like he can't attain to what you have, and he's going to look at ways to drag you down, or literally just get what he can and move on, because you're too fast for him, basically. So are we going to advise these women to slow down, kind of get married first, and then maybe try and push your dreams while you're married together with your partner, so you can carry your partner along, so to speak? Or are we going to say, women, do what you can? That guy, that knight in shining armor, who's on the same level of you as you, will eventually come, or he may not come, but still do you regardless. You know, just be yourself regardless. Or are we going to tell women, you know, maybe you need to pipe it down a little bit, get the man who can work with you and build the empire together? Because a lot of women have found themselves in this trap, unfortunately, because women, we're very good at getting what we want. Sometimes when we want to push that contract, push that deal, sometimes it's just our looks, our smile, you know, our character, our personality, our flirting, you know, and we sometimes get that thing more than men do. Then men can see that and they're attracted to that. Yeah, this woman is power, man. She's carrying her own, she's got her own house, she's got her own whip. I need to hook up with that kind of person. And then men start attracting that woman like a magnet. And then sometimes the woman feels that she found that man on the same level, only to find out that really he was just there to see what he can get. Like I said, I saw this being shared on a post recently, and women said they're going to talk about this aspect, because there are women that have struggled with this, unfortunately, been burnt the hard way. Men have come and destroyed their business, been in toxic relationships, tried to take something away from them. And literally, I think I was even watching a YouTube video recently of a real life story. People were admiring this woman. They were following her vlog lives and admiring them as a couple. And then all of a sudden, the guy went funny. He turned on the girl. They even have a child together. And then because she had involved him in her business, he felt that he had rights to it. So when people's orders came through, he was the one that was managing the emails. And that's the thing, where you give him access to your emails, access to all those things. And ladies, sorry, because of that, I'm going to actually ask this question. As you're answering this, I will ask that question because of the example I've given, which is, when you do have that business, whose business is it? Is it our business, or is it your business? Sorry.
Oh, man.
We'll deal with that one at a time. I will bring that second one later, please. Sorry. But with the first one, what are you going to advise to women that are aspiring for so much? Should they be slowing down, or should they go, girl, do what you got to do? That guy that you need will come eventually. Then I will deal with that business one afterwards. And that will be our last question for the day. But I won't mix it up, because I really want you to tackle that next one I'm going to ask you, which is in line with what they... And then I'll read that example again when I give you the next question. So, ladies, in the terms of a woman is successful, if I need to reiterate that again, she is thriving. She's single, remember. She's independent. She's riding jets. She's doing big things. What kind of man she should be going for? How does she assess it? Does she need to slow down and get her man first, build the empire together when you're married? Or does she need to go, and that man that she needs to attract will come eventually? Or do we need to give them reality checks and tell them, ladies, that guy may not come, y'all, because he may be threatened by you. So, boy, do what you want to do, but be facing that chance that you may not get that baller, or maybe that NBA player that you're looking for. I don't know. And then answer that one first, and then we can deal with the other one lastly.
All right. Let me jump in.
I can see comments are popping off. Maybe they're answering for you.
Jump in, girl, jump in.
People are saying it's a good question, yo. They are answering, but yeah. Come on, ladies, trash that one, because I'm ready for that next. The last bonus one is going to be a peak one. Right. But yeah, and then I'll give the example of that story I just told. But yeah, go on.
Okay. So in my opinion, I'll say opinion, because it ain't fact. And like I said from the beginning, disclaimer is, we are not telling you what to do with your lives. We don't know it all. No one has a perfect life or relationship. But in my opinion, I would say that any woman that's achieving and has high goals and wants the best out of her life, I don't think you should slow down because you can catch a man. And that really annoys me hearing that. Because the way I look at life is, you're only here on this earth one time, from what I know. And you need to make the most of your life because you don't know what could happen tomorrow. And I don't feel like you limiting yourself is making you live your best life. And I don't think you should be even limiting yourself for someone. That's just ridiculous. It's your life. These are your goals and your aspirations and your dreams. And ultimately, you are the one that is responsible for your happiness. No man can bring you happiness. And that's my honest opinion. No man can bring you happiness. They can make you happy sometimes, and sometimes they can really, excuse my French, piss you off. But no man can be giving you happiness and butterflies and joy and rainbows 24/7, 7 days a week. It's unrealistic. So in my opinion, my advice would be to go for it, girl. Keep achieving, keep making big moves, keep doing you and being the best of who you are. And men, in all honesty, and I'm sure some men will agree with me on this, I feel like having a man is a bonus. It's an added bonus. I think your happiness, and I mean really and truly, your inner happiness is the most important thing. It's the most important thing because, let's be real. Men come and go, women come and go, and who's going to be left? You, me, myself, and I. And so I can't stress this enough. I honestly feel like women should never limit themselves to a man. Because if the man goes, then you're just there with your limits.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
You're going to be unhappy.
Yes.
You're going to be burned. And you're going to be, I feel like when you put your happiness on another individual, be it man or woman, you are making them responsible for your happiness. And that's very risky because they're human. And so one day they will disappoint you. And if you put too much of your expectations, I think this is where some women are going wrong, is that they put too much emphasis and expectations, I beg your pardon, on a man, when in reality, he's human. There are going to be times that he meets those expectations, and there are going to be times that he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is that when you're finding that a man is not bringing you or sustaining your happiness, then you need to ask yourself some questions like, what am I gaining from being in this relationship? Is it helping my inner peace? Is it disturbing my peace? If at that point you're answering yes to those questions, then you do need to reevaluate the people that you have in your life, including your man, it could be your sister, it could be your brother, it could be anyone, not just a spouse. I think your happiness is your responsibility. That's the way I see it. I'm not saying because your happiness is your responsibility, so you don't find someone that can also make you happy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, we're all human. And if you find someone that, let's say, if I had to put a number, which I don't like doing, but just to give you some sort of a number, if someone makes you happy 70-80% of the time, I think they're doing an okay job in this world that we live in. Because we live in a world where there's a lot of crap happening. There's a lot of things that will just demoralize you, that will depress you. You need someone that's bringing positive energy, that's adding to your happiness, adding to your joy. And so to cut a long story short, I would say your happiness is your responsibility. You are the owner of your happiness. You're the owner of your dreams and your expectations. No woman should limit their dreams and their expectations for men. I don't think it makes. I think any man that's intimidated by that is not the right man. That's the truth. That is the honest truth. I feel like yes, women are always achieving, even from young. The statistics, we all know the statistics. Women outshine guys and achieve. Young boys, even in school, women achieve higher than boys do, and I think that just goes, in life. Women are now becoming CEOs, they're becoming independent business women, making very big decisions in big companies, etc. And those women that I'm seeing around me, that I know of, actually are married. So I don't think think there might be some sort of misconception here that the higher you achieve, the likely is that you're going to get a man. I think the only thing that makes it difficult is the fact that you're going to be more particular about the type of man you want, the higher you go up in your career.
Yeah.
You're more particular and you're more intentional about, or I would expect that a woman may be more intentional about the kind of guy they want, meaning that they're expecting him to bring the same thing to the table as they are. And I don't think that's realistic. That's my honest opinion. I don't think that because you're high and you're earning 50K a year or 50K a month, that your man should now also earn 50K or even more. I think that's where we're setting ourselves up for failure and we're not being realistic. That's the thing. But if that's what you want, go for it. But you need to be understanding of the fact that there may not be a lot of men in that bracket that you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So maybe you've actually diminished or narrowed your options. If you're only looking for a certain caliber of high earning men, high value men, I think they call it. If that's what you're looking for, they may be harder to find. But that's not to say it's impossible. So sorry for my waffling, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
No, people are taking notes, yo. It's a serious question. People are taking notes, yeah. So please waffle if you need to, or not waffle, rather make your point. Because people need to learn from this. There, like I said, there are single women that are using their time wisely while they can before the guy comes. To really make themselves of value and pursue their goals and get satisfaction and life fulfillment from that.
Yeah.
And they want to do it right, and they just need to know that, do I continue in this notion? Because at the end of the day, most women do want to settle down and get married. They want to know if they're doing too much or they're doing too little. Are they doing the right amount?
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, people rightly pursue your, pursue
go
those dreams
for it.
and stuff. That was your chance.
Yeah, I think so I said it all anyway. I don't need to say much more. But what I'm saying is that don't limit yourself for a man, and don't be unrealistic about your expectations. Don't put all your responsibility and your happiness and expectations to be happy in life on a man. I don't think that's fair. I feel like, yes, he should bring a level of happiness, but ultimately you should be a happy person within yourself. You should be happy whether the man is there or he isn't there. And I feel like when you have that mentality and that mindset, you will attract happiness, you will attract positivity into your life. But if you get my point. That's my perspective. That's my perspective.
Yeah.
So I would just I'm gonna try my best not to repeat everything that Miss said, because I do totally agree. No, you've really touched on some gems, but of course there are certain bits of advice that I would give out. Now, the first bit of advice I would give out is no one's called to save anyone, you know. You're not called to be a superhero to a man out there, and a man is not called to be a superhero to a woman out there. If you're in a relationship and that person, you think that person is lazy, then that person just ain't for you. That person could be for someone else. That's just your opinion. That's the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is that's just your opinion. I dated someone a long time ago, and this person's aspirations was to become a PE teacher. A PE teacher, okay? And when one of my relatives, one of my aunties, she was like, no, that's not good enough. You know, he needs to do this. And she decided to sit down and talk to him, and it made him feel very uncomfortable. But his reasons for wanting to be a PE teacher, regardless of what anyone thought, is that's what he felt he could attain, and that's what he felt was good for him. That's not now my responsibility as the lady that he's with to now try and turn him into this CEO of a company. That's not my responsibility. That's what he's chosen for himself. That's what he wants. That's what he's working towards. Then, good for him. It's not your responsibility as a man or a woman or a boyfriend or a girlfriend to turn even your boyfriend or girlfriend into a husband. It isn't your responsibility. We don't even know what husbands and wives look like until we land into the game, really, because like we've discussed at the beginning of this conversation, every relationship has its own dynamic. You can't mirror your relationship on someone else who probably has a completely different character to you. So let's leave that by the wayside altogether. And then secondly or thirdly, what I would say is you need to be about your business. You really do need to be about your business. You need to, as Miss Rolo has said, find yourself, find out who you are. Who are you to yourself? Like, are you yourself? Are you lazy or have you been lucky? That's another question you have to ask yourself. Are you lazy or have you been lucky? Or are you hardworking or have you been lucky? Or, these are the kind of questions you have to ask yourself. You can't point fingers at another individual because they're different from you just because you want to be in a marriage with that person. And then, like another person has said in the comments, I think it was Tolu who said this. She said that before you get married to someone, you have to get to know them. And when you're getting to know someone, there are certain traits that you learn about that person. And this, again, is the danger of trying to turn your boyfriend into a husband. You know he doesn't want to do this. You know he's not like that. You know he's not this and he's not that. So, don't now marry him and think that, he's going to turn into this big CEO person. That's not fair. It's really not fair.
Yeah.
What if this person wants to just be an artist? And the truth is, like we're talking about on the subject of dreams and killing dreams, okay, an artist can be seen as someone who's just being paid for their hobby. Fair enough, but some people actually have that as a career for them, and it's very difficult.
Yes.
Like Miss Rollo said, you have to know who you are. You have to know what you want. If this guy is not what you want, then leave him. Let him go. Free the guy now. Free the guy, because all that's going to happen, and again, I'm just speaking from my own opinion, I can't speak for everyone, but all that's going to happen is you may end up finding yourself in a position where you feel like you're so heavily invested in that individual that you become trapped. Right. You become let go. You can't let go when things start to go wrong. You can't end up making decisions for yourself or whatever, because you feel like you're too heavily invested, because you've put in so much work to turn someone into someone that you want to marry. And I think that is really wrong. So again, just to clarify on what I'm saying, we can't just call people lazy just because they're not achieving at the rate that we're achieving, or because they may have their lives on hold for one reason or another. It could be their backgrounds, could be their character, could be the way that they're wired. It could also be maybe they just don't want to work. There are actually people like that, believe it or not. But it is not your responsibility to save those people and to turn those people into what you want them to be. And of course, just to say, get to know your spouse or your partner before you get married to them. Because if that really is the person that they are, just leave them and let them be who they want to be. Let them be free to express themselves how they want to express themselves, and you to be free to express yourself how you want to express, with someone who you can carry along that journey with you, who maybe not be similar, but at least you share the same goals and the same visions, and you're less likely to tread on each other's toes.
Thank you, and the slaves. And I'll drop my little 2 cents before, and I'm going to tie it in with my next and final bonus question. I've been reading the comments as well as you guys have been talking, and I'm going to pull out from some of the things that they said and try and answer it to the best of my little knowledge that I can. So yes, somebody raised a point that sometimes people don't show their jealousy until you actually get married, and that's when the guy will start resurrecting and showing all sorts of traits about how he doesn't like the success journey that you're trying to chase. All of a sudden, but yet he met you like that, but he's now married to you, and he now wants to express himself. We've spoken about red flags before, and signs and symptoms and all sorts of things, and I would like to think that when you are dating or courting someone, you as a woman or as a man have opened your eyes so much that you can see that this one, if I get into that marriage hope, this one is deadly. He can turn on me at some point. He may not have turned on me 100 degrees, but he's turned on me 50 degrees and shown me that he's capable at some point. If I'm not careful or treading carefully, he will go 100 one day. But I think sometimes we like to pretend that we don't see that this person is capable of being jealous or narcissist or controlling. Even though, for example, you may have had an argument and you as the woman have had to be chasing him rather than him chasing you, or the other way around, or you're going to try and see who's going to call her one first, or you as a woman is the one that's always constantly apologizing. You must have seen one thing or the other that shows that this one is capable of something. Or when you were chasing your dreams and you were traveling up and down the town to do what you got to do to make that peak, he's now saying, why do you travel so much that you ain't got time for us? All right, this guy, if he's telling you that in that relationship, he's definitely going to tell you that in marriage, because he needs to hold you down in marriage. Another thing is, somebody said in the comments as well about quality time, and we will go there one of these days with the love languages and everything like that. But these are the kind of questions you need to be establishing when you're courting. Like, what love language are you guys more possessive of? A lot of women say that they love quality time, and especially women. Men like that too, but men are go-getters, so they ain't got time for sometimes for quality time. They're more for someone of acts of service. They'd rather have a help me that can help them with their services, you know. Whereas women, sometimes we want to pursue someone that likes quality time. You're right. Sometimes when you're chasing dreams, it's affecting quality time because you don't have time for that. Hence why sometimes people like to do these things before they get married. So maybe when they get married, they don't have to pursue those dreams as much, because by then they may be on a certain level of their business that the money's just working for them, or they've got employees that are making that money work for them,
Right,
to the point that, you know, God bless those people that have reached that level, to the point that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to be putting 120 hours, you know, as much a week or something like that. You know, they have time for their spouses, they have time for their kids. So maybe that's why they're pushing hard while they're single, while they can, because they know that when they get married, they may not have that time like that, and they need to divide their attention to their family and build that quality time. Unfortunately, some people have got married so quickly and they wanted to pursue these things while they're married, and they lose track of time, and they don't have time to build on their love, time to build on their families. I've seen that in both, when it comes to your regular day job or your business or even ministry. Sometimes when you're trying to build that as well, you neglect your kids, you neglect your family, you neglect one another, because time is money. And that's the truth. Your energy and your time equates to your money. The time they spent to even travel to work equates to your money. You're digging into these quality times. But like I said, we won't throw too much emphasis on that, because that's a conversation for another day. But on the aspect of what I've just pulled out of there, which is when you are pursuing business as a single person, you've now made a name for yourself. Now I'll go back to my YouTuber story. I watched a YouTuber story, and this is where I'm going to ask my bonus question recently. And this is a real life story. This person has over 1 million followers, very popular woman, American RN. She's a nurse as well, but she retired from her nursing because her business was doing so well. Now she got into a relationship, ladies, with a man, and they have a child together. Now the relationship somehow went down south, and she had to explain to all her followers. This was just a video she put up about a week ago, so it is very recent, you know, explaining to all her followers, you know, something that she never thought she had to explain. She goes, this is not a relationship channel. I will never usually come out to do this, but because my life is public, I have to be accountable. As we always say, me and Anne always says this, that if something's gone wrong, be accountable to yourself. You're accountable to your followers. So she said, I have to be accountable to my followers. I have to come out. And I'm saying this example because it's relevant to what we're speaking about today in my next question. You know, I have to be accountable to my followers about what's going on in my personal life, because you used to see this man on vlogs, used to see our relationship as goals, like we like to do. And then all of a sudden, you know, things are not quite what it seems. This guy is no longer in my videos. What's going on? So, of course, apparently there's now this whole big thing about how the relationship was toxic. This man was being very abusive. But what did she do? She invited this man into her business, you know, and which is what I was going to ask. And they made it about their business. So because he had rights to passwords, customer orders on the emails and stuff like that, as soon as things went toxic, because she reported him to the police of the years of abuse. By the way, she'd been with him for 14 years of her life. She was with this person 14 years. You think you know someone, yeah? Then they show you their true colors later. 14 years she spent with this person. And how did he do her dirty? All those customer orders that they thought they'd book cream and all sorts of fancy products, of course, he squandered their money, and now it's fallen on her head. People obviously looking for their products, wondering what's going on. And because she's so popular, they're dragging her name. So she had to come and explain this circumstance. Now, what am I trying to bring out? My question is, when you're married to someone, I want to get this right, that's how I have to look. When you're married to someone who had a business before they met you, is it their business or our business? Are they entitled to everything to do with the business? So you had your business before you met someone serious. You got engaged. Now you're getting married. Does that business now become our business?
Yes.
How much is that person entitled to that business? Are you willing to take everything you worked for day and night and say it's now our thing for anything to possibly go wrong? At what level do we give somebody that so much entitlement like that? Is it when we're engaged or when we assign the papers? You know, how much should somebody be entitled to your business? And this will become our business, or we still doing things separately but we'll bring the income and share it as accordingly. But I don't want you too much involved in my business. Ladies, whose business is it? And how much should people be treading carefully with things like this?
I'm just going to jump in because of time. Now, I'm going to try and say as brief as possible.
Yeah.
But I really think it depends on the conversation with this lady. Was she married to him or they weren't married?
They were engaged. They got to level of engagement. So they're there for 14 years. I think she said she was engaged for 7 years. That's a long time. But that's a conversation for another day. But engaged for 7 years. They have a child together. They have a daughter together.
For me,
yeah, they have a daughter together as well.
Opinion, that's a red flag being engaged for 7 years. That's my way. That was her first red flag she had. Anyway, secondly, I think it depends on the conversation that she had with her spouse. You know, what was their conversation with regards to the business? You know, where I guess where things clearly outlined in terms of you're going to be responsible for this, you're going to be managing this, and you're going to receive an income, or are we going to be both stakeholders, equal partners, equal benefits to this business? I think those are the questions that I would be asking to know. What was that conversation like? Did it even happen before? And was anything contractual drawn up? Like, was there any documents that said, okay, once we're married, then, you know, all of it becomes ours equally? Or am I entitled to this and you're entitled to that percentage? Those are the questions I would ask. But it sounds like from the story that you described, that probably didn't happen, which is why they're in the mess that they're in. I feel like when you're in a relationship, be it marriage or not marriage, and you're with someone and you have a business, let's say the business, like as you described, was your own business, and that person had to be in it. If that person came in and added value to that business, they should be entitled to something. Now, what that something is will depend on the conversation and agreement that you have with that person. If that person added value, surely, morally, ethically, legally, they could potentially be entitled to something, you know, because of the value. However, I think people should really be careful when they're doing business with whoever it is, but most especially your spouse. I think things need to be clearly defined if you're doing business with your spouse or your partner or whoever. Things need to be clearly defined, and I would actually suggest or recommend it needs to be documented. You can't just be going off on love.
Yeah.
That love will see you through. That love will pay the bills. That love will make sure that come what may, if the business goes bankrupt, that we're both going to get a certain amount. And I'm not even going to talk about it because we're going to treat each other with respect. And no one's going to cheat on anyone, or no one's going to be fraudulent. It doesn't work like that. So my recommendation would be that if you are in a relationship and you do business with, and you have your own business and your staff comes in, they add value, then yes, they should be entitled. If they don't add value, then they shouldn't be entitled. And more importantly, you need to have a contract, you need to have something written, drawn up that says, you know, you in this business, you're going to be an employee, not an equal partner. That would be my take on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting. And the slaves on that question, and just to throw a reiteration there, and Miss Rhoda did answer it quite well as well. I want you to answer in a perspective of the person who's not quite married yet, because obviously I know when you're married, everybody believes that what's yours is mine, what mine is yours. But let's talk about the people that are engaged, even up to just engagement, and you've met a partner, because people meet people like this. You know, you now feel that because you're aspiring for that level and you want the person to take you seriously, you want to try and get involved in their affairs. How much should you be entitled to? Should you be in that example what I just gave? And to be honest, those two people were working together. That's why she brought him in, you know, because of the length of time that they've been together, thinking that you can trust someone like that who's been in your life for 14 years. Of course, as time goes on, you feel like I can give my trust to that person. We can take it to employee level, then we can take it to business partner level at some point, because now we're engaged, we're getting more serious. And before you're thinking we're going to get married anyway. So should people be going down that road and allowing people to come into their dream world, let's say, their dream world of their business baby? Or should people be actually waiting until they're married when they really know, okay, now we're in this, ride or die. Now you can be entitled to this. Should there be levels to this thing, or What's your take on that?
First of all, get your pitchforks ready again, because I'm going to say something that is out there a little bit. And what I'm going to say is, well, how do we know she's telling the truth? Because she's a woman, it doesn't mean that we have to believe what she says. Sadly, women tend to be the victims sometimes, but other times women are not the victim. So it sounds to me like these guys had a business at some point. Whether she started it or not, I don't know. But it sounds to me like they were both involved in this business. Hence the reason he had access to passwords and emails and stuff like that. Now, I don't know what went wrong with their business, but we know that they had an issue with their relationship. Their relationship didn't go well. But there are loads of individuals out there who were married and had businesses. Like, for example, The Rock and his ex, they had businesses, and the businesses are still functioning, so we can't say because of the breakdown in the relationship that business is still not able to function. I think that that's a clear issue of maturity. But I'll move on to the main question, and I'll say, if this is going to be my response, if I am a banker, when you meet me, I'm employed by, I don't know, some big company out there. I don't want to say names for whatever reason. I just won't say names. But I'm employed by some big company. And then I get in a relationship with a guy. Does he then become an employee of that person? No. And this is just literally how I see it. I could be wrong. I could be looking at it a completely different or absurd way. But this is how I see it. He doesn't now become an employee of that organization just because he's married to me. And I think the same thing applies with business. I have a business. When you meet me, you don't have automatic right. Even my children don't have automatic rights to that business unless I bring them in, whether formally or informally, So I think that the truth is the decision is yours, your spouse or we're talking about people that aren't married for me to answer. So your boyfriend or your partner doesn't have the right to dictate to you that they have to be part of your business. It's you that ultimately makes that decision, and if you decide that you want to bring this person in, then it becomes, both for your business, but you can actually say no. And that's left for your partner or your boyfriend or girlfriend to just be like, okay, that's no problem. If they want to help out, they can help out. If, as Miss Rolo said, they want to be an employee, then yeah, why not? If you want to be an employee, that's okay. But as far as being an equal shareholder is concerned, that really is your decision. It's completely up to you. So, don't start thinking that because you want to be wifey or nicey or hubby or whatever that you now have to bring that. No. You don't have to unnecessarily feel that pressure. You really don't. It's your life, it's your business, it's something that your blood and sweat has gone into. And the truth is about business, if you are someone who's worked collaboratively, you know that when you start to involve more people, the vision can potentially change. Or, like they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. So again, you have to really think about these things before you start making careless decisions or impulsive decisions just because you're in a relationship and you want to prove to someone that you love them. You really don't have to do that. So I would say, going back to that couple, we don't know exactly what the facts are or what's true and what's not true, but what I would say is, based on observation and based on what you said, it sounds like to a degree they were both equal shareholders in the business. So he's gonna do whatever it is he's gonna do, and she's gonna do whatever she's gonna do. It might have been done out of what's the word again? When you're trying to defame someone, when you're trying to mess someone up, that might be the cause why. I don't know which one of them has done it, but someone's done something. That might be the reason. But in order to protect yourself and in order to protect your business, I think it is wise to maybe keep the business on one side. We can talk about the money. We can talk about how we can not split the money as such, but how you might be able to benefit from my business, how I might be able to support you, or how you might be able to support me with the money that comes in from your business. But as far as me expecting to have an equal shareholder role, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
And thank you, and the slides, and I'll put my own coating on the cake, and I may be the little devil's advocate before before you round up, just to bring on a different stem of things when it comes to things like this. I personally want people to know this: if you make a decision, you know, like Anders said, and also Miss Rhoda, it's ultimately down to you, but never feel that there's a right or wrong answer in this thing, in the sense that if you feel that I want to keep my business as my business, even when you're married, I'm sorry, even when you're married, it's still your own business. At the end of the day, if you're working, just like Anders says, your partner doesn't necessarily work with you, doesn't necessarily go to your job. You have different dreams in your 9 to 5. You're not working at the same job place. So sometimes you treat your business like that as well. Sometimes your business is your business. It doesn't have to be our business. Like I said, over here, on the other flip side of things, it don't have to be our business, even when you're married. You know, I know there's this is another argument of whether signing prenups or not signing prenups, and a lot of marriages have had to learn things the hard way. Someone put in the comments that someone was married for 41 years, and if it had not been for the son, the man would have run away with all their money. Now, how are you going to protect your space? Sometimes you don't know what's in the future. Now, God forbid, we shouldn't be thinking about worst cases. Everybody wants their home to be happy, but at the same time, sometimes you have to use wisdom and be wise. If you feel that your marriage needs a prenup, sign that prenup. It doesn't mean that necessarily you don't trust your partner, you know, or you don't believe in your partner, or you don't believe the marriage would work. That shouldn't be looked upon like that. It just means that maybe, you know, sometimes you're trying to be careful just in case of the inevitabilities, which we can't predict. Anything can happen. Human beings change, people change. Like I said, we should not be thinking like that. Of course not, because nobody wants to. Everybody wants to feel that they're in the perfect marriage. Anything can happen, but at the same time, we need to apply things with wisdom. I know in the saying of two become one, what's yours is mine. Everybody loves that saying, what's yours is mine, what mine is yours. I always say, what's mine is mine, what's yours, husband, is mine.
You're crackling. Oh, you're crackling a little. I mean, we heard what you said, but just to let you know, you are crackling. It's getting worse.
It's getting worse again.
Yeah,
it is what it is. So sorry, I'll just say that really brief then. You know, you ain't greedy is what I'm trying to say. You ain't greedy if as a woman or a man you got married to someone and you chose to protect your assets, is all I'm trying to say. If you chose not to bring your partner into your business, or, you know, bring them as a direct partner, if you chose not to do that, it doesn't mean that that person is selfish. You know, that's what. Did you hear that part, or am I still cracking?
Yeah, the crackling is getting worse, but we definitely got what you said. And
so I'm just saying, people should not be undermined or feel that they're a bad person because they have chosen to do that. But ultimately, like we always say, it's your decision. If you want to bring your partner fully involved, if you want to make your partner your director, and you the employee, and switch your roles around, if you want to bring them equal stakeholders, that's entirely up to yourself. But me personally, if you don't want to do that, all I'm trying to say here is that do not feel bad. It don't make you selfish. It doesn't mean that, okay, this person ain't ready for marriage now, mate. It does not mean that at all. It just means you've just chosen your reasons for reasons best known to you, or chosen your journey for reasons best known to you. And sometimes wisdom is your best teacher. That's what I would say. All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we got there at the end. We're a little bit behind schedule, but you know how we do here. We always have a lot to say, and we get passionate about our feelings and our perspectives. So we do apologize that we're slightly out of time bound, but we hope you enjoyed today.
It was a lovely topic.
Whoa.
To take a while.
Yes. Thank you all for joining us today. You guys have, I mean, we've learned from you as well. I think we can all agree that we've all learned from each other. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Tolu.
Thank you, Alexina.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, she's always here. We love you, Suzanne. Thank you, Triona, Henderson, Samuel, Kalani Hall. We love you. Thank you for joining us today. You guys have really helped with this conversation. Like we said, we don't have all the answers. We're just here to give you some advice based on our own experiences and based on what we've witnessed, based on what we've researched. So, you know, all the best to everyone in their marriages, you know, all the best to everyone in their partnerships. We don't believe that getting married means that your dreams are completely done. We don't agree with that. We don't side with that. but this is a question that we do have to ask ourselves, because there are individuals that do feel this way. So as you've heard it, and as you've seen from other people in the comments, you don't have to stop chasing your dreams just because you get married or just because you have kids. You don't have to involve your spouses or your partners into your business. You can still excel and you can work together, or you don't have to work together, but you can still live your life. So on that, we're ending, and we'll say good night all. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I didn't it's time up, isn't it? Well, have a good afternoon, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, good evening.
Go ahead.
No, it's just real quick, just to reiterate and re-emphasize, guys. Yes, announcement. We have changed time officially. So tell someone to tell somebody to tell someone. GSI is here every other Saturday at 1 p.m. If anything changes, we'll always notify you. But those that are thinking that we're supposed to be here at 6, what's going on? We are here at 1. We did make a mini announcement. Maybe we'll make another official announcement on the page. But for those that are watching, catch us here at 1 o'clock every other Saturday. And please also inbox us about topics that you want to discuss. Some people do that. Send us more things. We want to talk about more things, but we want to know what you want to hear. So if you have anything interesting that you want us to discuss that's burning, please send them. We need more topics. We need more discussions. Bring them. Send them into our inbox. We'll definitely accommodate them along the line. So thank you. Keep that in your diary. 1 p.m. every other Saturday.
Thank you, guys. Take care. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.